Well, hello there, my silky friends. I actually missed my own broadcast start time. I thought I had more minutes. All right. I hope you are interested in some really great, I'm not going to call them conspiracy theories. Let me ask you this before we get started. I forgot to turn my fan off. Are you getting interference? Can you hear that? Is it interfering? Because I can stop it and turn it off. Um, Put it in the comments if it's bothering you. Oh, and here is Sachi, right on schedule. Hey there, Buckeye. Hello, Heather. Yeah, here she is. Here she is. Looky there. The star of the show. Yeah, I love you. All right, she's going to be down here in front bothering me. You can't see her shenanigans, but she's pulling them. I'm just telling you. She's pulling. Hello, Nicole. Hello. Let me get all of this. Let me start here. Um Hello, Christina. Um let's see, Buckeye, Nicole. It's a new day. Okay, good. The fan's not bothering you. Okay, good. See, Buckeye says hello, Sachi. All right, I was looking on the internet and I saw some stuff, some TikToks. Look, I am still fascinated with the Lindsay Clancy case, and like I go back and forth on that one. I don't think we've heard the whole story, but we're not talking about her tonight. We're talking about some other things because I came across some information on the JonBenet case that I had not heard before, and I have been insanely obsessed with that case for years. And then also, Garth Brooks, we're going to talk about it. And, I've thought about doing a deep dive into that one, but we're going to ease on into this. And I've got some other subjects that I really, really am going to be talking about. I may do videos and not lives, or may do videos and then follow it up with a live so we can talk about it because I love to talk to you live stream. Y'all are the best. Y'all really are. Hey, Samantha. Y'all are the best people in the world. And I have the smartest people in the world in my audience. I always say that. Y'all know so much more than I do. You really do. All right. Okay. Now, we're gonna ease on in. And I'm trying to decide. I've got a couple of things here that I don't know whether to bring up because it really could go on a whole show on its own. Do y'all want to hear about voodoo donuts? Have you ever heard about voodoo donuts? It's kind of weird, kind of weird. And then also, let's start with some run of the mill conspiracy because the other stuff is really not conspiracy. Well, it kind of is, but there's a lot of facts here. Let's start with a good one. Hold on, I've got some stuff stuck on here. Hey, Critter Mama, let me see. Critter Mama, let me get everybody on here. All right, good to see all of y'all. There's a lot going on. A lot going on. Let's start with some good old soul swapping. How about that? Let's start with some Hollywood. Okay?
Watch this.
I'll switch your wife out and I'll put another one of your wife in her side of her body. And they're walking around and you think that's your wife and it's not your wife. This is what's going on. It's no longer, like I said, it's no longer spiritual. We figured out how to, turn into spirit and exchange the soul in order to control the vessel. So if I have the vessel and I'm just nothing but spirit, I can ruin your life. That's what everybody has been going through.
Watch this.
Okay, have y'all heard this before? Now, I know, it's kind of out there, but, I look, this started probably a decade ago or more. I watched a movie about how they could extract a soul from a body. It was just kind of sci-fi, and it was a very dysmorphic, movie. It was very slow moving and it was very depressing. I hate movies like that, by the way. I hate slow moving things like that. But anyway, this guy loses his soul, and to me it was just crazy. How do you remove a soul that it's intangible, right? And so, but if then the movie came out, or maybe it was before. Anyway, there's the movie The Skeleton Key. If you've ever seen that one, it's like a voodoo thing, and it's soul swapping, and I'm like, why all this interest in soul swapping? You have to, how they say, they have to tell you, right? They have to show you. That's the theory. They have to tell you what they're doing. So you have all these movies about this kind of stuff. So I'm like, what is this? Now you have people coming out saying, just outright saying it, that they have found a way to do this and take out somebody's soul and put somebody else in there. Now they're showing this picture of Selena Gomez because the theory is, if you haven't heard it, the theory is that Gina Davis has been placed in Selena Gomez's body. Now, if you look at, remember in 2025 when Selena Gomez comes out with this new song or video or whatever, everybody is saying, who is this? That is not Selena. This doesn't look like her, doesn't act like her. And in the interviews that she's had in the past, since the past year, it's really kind of freaky because, yeah, she's a lot more mature, but she also doesn't really talk or act like herself, right? It is really weird. She does kind of have the speech of, and she does kind of act like Gina Davis. It's weird. But anyway, it is what it is. And so I'm like, uh, okay, so you're saying Montauk was into that? Uh, I had not heard that. I've listened to and watched a lot on Montauk because, as you know, behind me, I have Stranger Things, and that whole series, although it is completely made up, Montauk is or Stranger Things is based on the Montauk Project, which they say never existed, never happened, but you know, in the future, just like MK Ultra, just like they said there was no MK Ultra, we'll I'm sure find out that the Montauk Project was real, and it's a right exact mirror. Stranger Things is a mirror of Montauk. So, but I have never heard that, Samantha. So that's very interesting. Buckeye says, I don't know. As I listen to you, I'm watching live PD and a woman is crawling on the ground like an animal, making unholy noises. Look, evil is real. And I agree. I know what you're saying, Buckeye. And I've actually seen, um, I've actually seen people do that very thing more than once. So let's see. Let me see what else y'all are saying. Um, so Samantha says one of the boys from there describes it. Huh. I wish if you could send me a link, Samantha, I would love to see that because I think that's very interesting. So apparently soul swapping has been, and I know, it sounds very insane. Like, who could do that? How do you get a grip on a soul? And I know I'm the first one to say, I don't know how that would happen. But I don't know. This is the new thing in Hollywood, and he's not the only one saying it. There's a lot of people that are saying this. Now, if you and I'm reading the comments here on this on TikTok, it says the show called Behind Her Eyes expanded on this. That's true. I watched that Netflix series. If you haven't seen that, it's very disturbing. Um, some people are calling it demonic possession. Um, I don't know. I don't know how this is done. Okay, but there are a lot of things that Hollywood has come up with. Can it be done? I don't know. I don't know. But there are a lot of things that have been done in the past that we said was impossible. And who knows? Are they telling us something? Who knows? All right. So let's go on. We are going to look at um let's see. MK was into that too somewhat. That's the breaking of one personality into alters. I mean, I can see that. I can see that. Um Yeah, I agree. Critter Mama taking of a person's soul doesn't seem as likely as a possession does. Well, yeah, it seems like it would be far easier to be possessed than to take a soul. I don't know. I mean, who really knows what uh but I will say this, okay? Now, as strange as it seems, now I'm just sitting here thinking out loud, so process with me. There is a thing in witchcraft, and I know this is to be true across many, many, witchcraft has many, I guess you would call it, it's not like denominations, but there's many different avenues, okay? You've got pagans, you've got all the different kinds, you've got Wiccans, you've got the very different belief systems, okay? And in a lot of them, very many of them, whether it's people who say they are not into dark magic, they're white witches or whatever, or earth religions, there is a thing that has been around for hundreds of years that is where you trap someone's soul in a jar. And I found this out probably a couple of decades ago. I don't know how you do it. Don't ask me. I'm not a witch. Okay? Don't want to be. Um, but there is a some kind of ritual about trapping people in and souls in jars. And I'm like, how does that happen? Like, what part of somebody can you trap in a jar? Why would you do? Like, I don't know. I don't know. But that is a thing, and people do that, and they bury the jars or they do all these things. And some people have gotten out, the jars have been broken. I don't know. It's some kind of witchcraft ritual. So if you are able, and again, this is me thinking out loud, if you are able, Sachi, if you are able to gather someone's soul into a jar, then would you be able to remove it to transplant another one? Or I don't know, or would that I don't know. I'm just saying. It's like you're not removing the soul when you put it in a jar, but you're capturing it, like you're putting chains on it. You're um I don't know, you're just putting it in a jar. You're limiting it for some things. So I don't know. It is a witchcraft thing. So if you are able to do that much, then what could you do? You see what I'm saying? Um, let's see. It was into imprinting oneself onto computer chips, a transference, if you will. Now, there you go. Okay, you're right. You're right, Samantha. And they're talking about, right? They're talking about this living forever. Have you heard that? That's a new thing. They're talking about living forever and basically transferring our consciousness in onto a chip or somehow living forever in a computer form, in an AI form, and in some kind of form, right? Have you heard this? Because I've heard it a lot in the last year. Um, you know, kind of now they have those. What is it? We saw an ad for it about how you have what was it called? You could have grandma with you forever. It wasn't really her, but it was kind of like her. You know, she would be on your little computer. She was like a little AI thing that she would be able to talk to the grandchildren and all this kind of stuff and tell them stories. Well, this is like transferring part of your consciousness in a chip. Now, I remember watching, and I am not into is it Doctor Strange? Doctor Who. Doctor Who. I'm not a Doctor Who watcher, okay? But I remember, this has been years ago, flipping through channels and watching this one episode, and it looked like this face. It was skin stretched on this. It was weird looking. It was this woman, and she had all this makeup on, and it looked horrific, and her skin was stretched like into a square looking thing, and she was just talking. And apparently she had been alive a long, long time. This was all that was left of her, is her consciousness, and stretched onto this skin, and she had been alive for I don't know how long, and this was a thing, you know. And of course it's Doctor Who, so you know, I'm like, I don't even watch this. I don't know what this is about, but I gathered this much, and I watched part of this episode, and I'm like, that is so weird. I hope that never happens. Like, that would be horrible. Because, you know, there you are, just stuck in a stretched out version of a machine of yourself. Like, who would want to do that? But yet, would some people want to do that instead of dying? I don't know. That's bizarre. And now that I think about it, isn't that the same thing as transferring your consciousness? And is that your soul? Is that capturing that essence of your soul? I don't know. What do y'all think? Let me go back and see what y'all are saying. Uh Hey Hoosier, how you doing? Good to see you. Um Buckeye says, I would hope that deceased souls would be free, not shut up in some bottle. I would too. I mean, I would too. But then, you know, you start wondering, hey, Smoky Mountain, how are you? Um, yeah, I agree. I agree, Nicole. I need the Lord to take me. Me too. I do not. I don't want to be. I don't want to be here for that. Shelly Cinderella, hello. Okay, we got another Hoosier. Hey, and I want to talk about that. That's one. Y'all, actual Hoosiers who are in the chat right now, tell me something, because I am wanting to do a video about this because we're not getting any coverage. I saw a video. I saw a TikTok actually about a blackout in Indiana, about the northern part around Indianapolis and around that area, about the floods, and how they're really not reporting all the damage and all of the terrible things that are happening up in that area. That there's a lot of looting, and there's a lot of lawlessness, and a lot of stuff that has been going on or went on. I don't know if it's over. If y'all are up in that area and you're in this chat, would you please put that in there? Because, you know I covered on X. I covered some of it on here, I think. I think I did a few live videos on North Carolina a couple of years ago. But when North Carolina had all those floods, I was furious about the lack of coverage that we had on, like, nobody knew. Nobody knew what was going on in North Carolina, because other than the first little bit. Uh, okay. So let me know. Have y'all heard that? Are you in that area? Is this true? Because the person that I heard that was saying all this, yeah, I was very, very disturbed and I wanted to cover it. And then she went on to get very, very political. And I just want to say, as I've always said, I don't like any of them. I think they're all liars. Okay. I used to feel one way or another, and now I trust no one. So I'm not taking a side on this. And it was so politically aimed. I'm like, is this true or is this just a political thing? I don't know. And I really want to know if this is going on. Um, let's see. Let's do this. Immortality is the secular solution to death. Secular people reject resurrection and want to outdo God. Yes. And I think some people, Buckeye, are just afraid. They're just afraid to die. They don't want to die. It would stand to reason if you put yourself on a computer chip, you could also then go from chip back to newer body. Well, if that is true, then could you? Is that your soul? And could you? Could they be doing this? Is that how they do this? Could this whole thing? Okay, so Shelly says that's not in her area. Okay, good. Um, okay, Critter Mama says they aren't not even telling the truth. Delaware County was over 28 feet. Oh, wow. Mainstream media didn't report smaller counties. Okay, so that is true. Wait, let me see what you're saying, Hoosier. Yes, and it's going on nationally with the disasters and looting and government taking over. See, I need to do, hey, y'all, I need to do a show on this. Would y'all do me a favor? I took the day off work tomorrow because I just took the day off. I just needed a day off. All right. I'm going to be taking some more days off because I've got the time and I need to take some days off. I need to decompress. So in the next month or so, I'm going to start taking some days off. Um, yeah, but y'all Hoosiers or anybody who has eyes on this, and you're especially from Indiana, would you do me a favor and would you send me an email so I can read this out? I would love to go live tomorrow night. I would love to put this out there. I would love to put it on TikTok. I would love to put it on um, here. I'd love to put it on my Facebook page. I would love to. I know I'm a small voice, but maybe somebody somewhere will share it. And that's the only way I know to get attention to some of this stuff, right? Is to just keep talking and not shut up. And y'all know, I've gotten in trouble for that, but here's a whole new thing. Just like North Carolina, this stuff makes me so mad, and I had no idea. No idea. And actually, I wanted to go live the last 2 days and talk about this, but my internet was out. My internet was out for 2 days. We had storms roll through Thursday night, and my internet was out all day Friday and all day Saturday. It came on late last night. Um, wow. I really need to hear from y'all. My email address is silky and southern, all one word, silky and southern at gmail. Please write to me, put even just a paragraph, something that I can read out. And I'm gonna look on TikTok too. But I would love to have you all. I would love to hear from you all. And okay, Shelly Cinderella says it is real. My sister lives in South Bend, Indiana. Wow. Yeah, see, this is horrible. I read about some gas lines in Chicago because trucks can't go through. I know part of I 70 was closed in Ohio because of the floods. Wow. Wow. You know what? When I may have to redo part of this and split this live up into two pieces. Um, Governor said assistance is coming. It's not. Flood victims have to pay a couple $100 for a new meter or no power. What? What? How are you going to do that when you can't even? Oh my God. That's not something people just have and can just do. My job was underwater and didn't get back till last week. So how long has this been going on? Oh my God. How long has this been happening? I don't even know. Thank you, David Samuels. Have the day you deserve. I'll get you I'll get you footage. WTHR has coverage, but Critter Mama, I would love to see that. Um yes, let's please make some noise. Once these areas are devastated, FEMA takes over and declares these areas as unlivable, and the feds buy it up. Oh, yeah. I know that's exactly what happened in North Carolina. And that's what's happened in many other places. I just didn't know. I mean, here's the thing for us that are in other places, you see the news that says, oh, there's flooding in Indiana, there's flooding in here and there. That was my initial report, honestly. There's floods in North Carolina. The only thing that actually got my attention in North Carolina, because, like, look, we have floods and we have droughts, we have stuff all over the place, right? From time to time, even here in the South, when we have tornadoes go through, you have a day or two of national news where, tornadoes devastated the South. Well, they did. And people are without power for days, sometimes weeks. We get over it. Like, we climb out of it. We live where we live. Well, so you don't necessarily hear devastating stuff. But in North Carolina, I happened to be, I don't know what I was doing. I was driving. I was driving somewhere and I was on line for a significant amount of time, and I was listening to a podcast, and I don't even know what it was about, but the podcast that I was listening to had a live break in, and they said, look, whatever subject they were talking about, they said, look, I'm sorry, I know this is not what we're talking about, but they have just given a warning to a place in North Carolina, which was somewhere not where they were podcasting from, but somewhere nearby, maybe a neighboring state or neighboring county, something like that. And they said a dam is breaking. They have warned that the dam is breaking. Now, that is a huge, huge thing. So I'm like, what? And they're like, oh, this can't be true. This can't be true that this dam is breaking. And then there was a report like, yeah, this isn't the only dam that's breaking. There was also this one and this one. And the podcaster was saying, I think this is just, this is not real reporting. Like, this has got to be some kind of hoax. All these dams aren't just breaking. And so I am gripped by this podcast, and I'm thinking, is this like whole thing a hoax? Like, War of the Worlds, whatever. Is this, but I'm just sitting there and I'm listening. And so they didn't really have a resolution. They're like, I don't know. And so they're calling up people that the people on live were calling relatives and stuff who lived in that area. And they're like, hey, have you heard this? Is this true? And there really wasn't a resolution. So I jump off that podcast and I start listening to the news or anything else I can find that is live breaking. And indeed, it was true that there were floods breaking through and the dam had broken. It took me probably 30 minutes before there was any kind of actual news from, like, national news that there was problems with the dam, and I still don't think they had said it had broken yet. Anyway, then there was like a little bit of news and then nothing. But because I knew for sure it had happened, I just kept going on, not the national news, but all these other sites, and looking on TikTok and all these other places. And I kept following the North Carolina stuff. And had I not done that, I would have not never known what the devastation was. So here I am with this whole thing in Indiana. I saw this one TikTok and I'm like, what? I saw that there was flooding, but it's like, random stuff everywhere. People have, like, we had flooding here from time to time. I had no idea, y'all. Oh my gosh. Um, Let's see. Samantha says, I have pictures of a full block flooding. Oh, wow. My county was never mentioned. Oh, my goodness. Uh, Stormfront Freaks on YouTube from Columbus, Ohio, has been covering floods in Ohio and Indiana. Okay. Stormfront Freaks. Okay. If y'all are looking, look at that one. Okay. You sent me a test email. I can't check it right now. Uh, well, maybe I can in a minute. I'm afraid. I'm very afraid. But if it's silky and southern, let me see. Let me see if I can bounce over there without causing a major disturbance here. Sometimes I got it. I got it. I sure did. Okay, good. Sometimes you know how my equipment likes to go crazy. Um, all right. Almost 3 weeks. Oh wow. See, thank you, Smoky Mountain. See, I haven't you haven't heard of this at all. I hadn't either. See, we're in the dark over here, having no idea. But I do know this is exactly what happens. The government is buying up properties and keeping people closed in cities to monitor us. Yeah. Hey, Dewey. Okay, I always say your name wrong. I just realized this the other day when I wore my glasses. It's not Dewey Cox. It's Dewey OX. Dewey Ox. I've been saying it wrong forever. I am so sorry. I should wear my glasses. Dewey. Apologies. Welcome. We're talking about the floods that I didn't know. Oh my goodness, Hoosier. You lived in Gastonia? I lived in Charlotte. So I know exactly where Gastonia is. Uh oh my gosh. That was your first land hurricane. Yeah, I look. Well now I lived in Charlotte during Hurricane Hugo. That was something else. That was definitely a land hurricane. Okay, they're trying to keep us enclosed in certain areas. They don't want us living in rural areas. And doesn't that just make you want to go even further out? It does me. Oh, wow. Within 4 hours, we were underwater. Wow. That hurricane that hit North Carolina was crazy. It came up through Georgia and Tennessee. Yes, it was. It was insane. When I saw the track and I saw how it happened, look, that wasn't normal. I'm just saying, y'all, if you know, you know, that was not normal. We weren't supposed to have land hurricanes in Indiana. Yeah, it's okay. So North Carolina was for lithium, yes, definitely. So Indiana is for data centers. So were y'all was Indiana like really protesting data centers, because Alabama is right now. Like we are really protesting. We do not want them. Possum drop. What is that, Dewey? Possum drop hurricanes. I have never heard that, but I like it. I mean, I don't like hurricanes, but I like the terminology. Oh wow. I have a big horn truck. Other cars are underwater. Oh jeez. Ah, am I saying that right? Okay. Yeah, I love North Carolina. I really do. Um okay, so people have signs in their yards protesting data centers. So that's what that was about. Okay. I say we do a whole thing. Y'all please send me whatever you have. Silky and Southern at Gmail, and I will try to get stuff together and go live tomorrow evening. Maybe I have to work Tuesday, so probably early, maybe around 6 o'clock or so. We'll try to do as much as we can and talk about yes, I'm sure. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. That's why coverage is limited. Oh my gosh. It is. Mm. But I do. I want to talk about that because so yeah, they're protesting. They want to there are around 20 or so centers they want to build. I just heard where there people are trying to protest here the flock cameras. Um which we have a ridiculous amount of them. Okay. Good. Okay, you sent me some pictures. Good, good. Okay. And I'm going to find what I can also, but anybody who has firsthand knowledge, uh, that's great. Yeah, because I had no idea. No idea at all. All right. Um, yeah, we're going to talk about that for sure tomorrow. Now, a few things I um the so-called powers that be act like we don't know. Yeah, well, and they keep it, Samantha, where we don't know. The rest of us don't know. Like we can't help because we don't know. It's just like the mess in North Carolina. Somebody, it was a secret, and when I would even mention to people that I know here, I'd be like, you know, do y'all know what's going on in North Carolina? We need to send supplies. If they need help, they need this. And they would be like, what are you talking about? I'd be like, yeah, we're getting there. We are getting there. Okay. We're going to do a short, is Garth Brooks and SK. Look, I know it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy. We're going to get there. Give me just a few minutes. It's the craziest conspiracy that I ever heard. Let me tell you, when I heard that about Garth Brooks, I'm like, "Ugh, what? This is ridiculous, right?" And then I started listening to some stuff, and I'm like, "Huh, well, that's interesting," but I don't believe it. And then I started looking at some more stuff, and I'm like, "Ooh, oh my goodness!" And then it was like, "Well, holy crap, what's going on here?" I will tell you this: there is a lot of um, there there are a lot of people that think he is. I'll just say that. And there's a lot of reasons that they think so. And you'll be the judge. But let's start with something else real quick because I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this, but I've been following the JonBenet Ramsey case and I heard something today that I hadn't heard and it made me think, huh. It made me think, wow, now this makes a lot of sense. Okay. Um, let me start here, and I hope I don't get flagged too bad for this. Okay, wait, hold on. Y'all can't see that. Okay. And this is talking about some of her injuries. And this woman is, let's see, her name is Cgutheh. I don't know how you pronounce. I don't know, but you can go follow her. She has a lot of good videos. She has several on JonBenet, and she has some good. She has some really good points too.
In the JonBenet Ramsey case, it's important to follow the evidence and not your feelings. And that's exactly what we're going to do step by step. Let's start before the crime. JonBenet's medical history shows over 20 documented visits between 1991 and 1996. Around 1993, the same year that Patsy was diagnosed with cancer, and actually the same month, she regresses in her toilet training. Mood changes, sleep disruption, vaginitis, and chafed vaginal irritation, also including bloody stool. On December 17, 1996, just 9 days before her death, 3 urgent after calls placed to her pediatrician. Patsy and John both say that they cannot recall what these calls were for. Now consider this. 4 out of 5 medical experts who later reviewed her autopsy concluded that JonBenet Ramsey had a hymenal laceration, an injury estimated to be 7 to 10 days old at the time of her death. They agreed, in their opinion, this was prior abuse. This estimated timeline overlaps almost exactly with the December 17th 3 urgent after-hour calls. 9 days later, she's dead. There are no coincidences in true crime. Statistics show that a child being abused is most likely by somebody in the household, an adult male. Now, when abuse and homicide intersect, data shows that the abuser is almost always the unaliver. Now, let's go to Christmas night. The family arrives home between 9:30 and 10 p.m. This is the first reports.
Okay, so as you heard, there was a laceration that she had that was 10 days old. Now I know that exactly, Smoky Mountain. What little girl gets that? Uh, she was surrounded by weirdos. Absolutely, absolutely. But she has a laceration. Okay, she has a laceration, a hymenal laceration. This is not something that you get. You know, they said that she had all these UTIs. She went to the doctor a lot. They said, you know, she had all these yeast infections, all these look bubble baths. Yes, that causes it, but if you're a mom and this is a problem, you just don't give bubble baths. You just don't do it. Okay, you make them very few and far between. She had gone an extraordinary amount of times. You know, I had a little girl. I mean, I still have her. She's just a big girl now. You know, I never had any of these things. Never had any of these problems. All right. As most mothers will tell you, they didn't have these problems. So when you have somebody like JonBenet who's constantly going to the doctor for this, it is very odd. So then, you know, when they on the autopsy, when they had this laceration, that is not something that happens from normal kid activities. It doesn't happen from bubble baths. It doesn't happen from all the other things. It happens how it happens, okay? And you know what I'm talking about. There's some kind of mishandling of an area. And so that should have been number one red flag. Like, you have a deceased child who has been assaulted. What do you think? So from the very beginning, when they did the autopsy, they already knew. They, in my opinion, they were already covering up something, because they're like, oh well, this happened because she took bubble bath. No, you don't get that from a bubble bath. All right, so this has always bothered me because I already knew, as a nurse, as a mom, forever ago, there was something, there was trauma. They already knew there was trauma. So you have trauma on a little girl that age, and then she ends up unalive. Hello, somebody explain that. All right, so I'm gonna listen to one more video, and then there's a very interesting video. So let's go back to this.
For years, people have debated whether JonBenet Ramsey showed signs of prior abuse. And most of that debate starts in the wrong place. People focus on her medical history, multiple visits for vaginal irritation. And then you have people say, oh, that can be bubble baths, poor hygiene, not wiping correctly. But that is not what proves prior abuse. What matters isn't irritation, inflammation. What matters is injury. After JonBenet was killed, her autopsy revealed something critical. A healed laceration, also called a transection of the hymen. And here's why it matters. In a child who had not yet reached puberty, this type of injury is rare and highly specific. It's not caused by bubble bath. It's not caused by wiping incorrectly. And it's not caused by normal childhood activity. This injury was older than 10 days, meaning it occurred before the night she died. And this was not one doctor's opinion. A panel of 5 nationally recognized child abuse experts reviewed the medical evidence. And 4 of the 5, Dr. Andrew Saranet, Dr. John McCann, Dr. James Monteleone, and Dr. Valerie Rael. They were all confident the findings were diagnostic of abuse. They specifically, for years, people have
Okay.
debated whether
So
John
here's the point. There were 5 doctors that knew. 5. And I'm sure that they would have been willing to testify. I don't know if somebody was threatened, if somebody's palms were greased, maybe all of the above. Um, I am going to put this up there. Well, I don't know if I can. But what Hoosier said, yeah, only adults could construct the thing that was around her neck. Yes. Uh that was definitely something that was an adult construction. Um yeah, all she wanted to do was perform. Now there is another video that this lady does that does the timeline on JonBenet and talks about how um she's born, how there's no trauma, how everything is fine. She doesn't really have any kind of sicknesses, anything going on until I think she's about 3.5, somewhere around there, the 3 or 4 area. All she had is like ear infections, respiratory stuff like that, and not that often, but the normal kid things that you get earaches and stuff like that with little babies. That's just kind of common. Now, in the same year that Patsy gets diagnosed with cancer is when JonBenet starts having these problems with bedwetting, problems with going to the bathroom properly, and stuff like that. And she's having all these urinary tract infections. I'm just saying, mighty strange coincidence, right? Um, let's see. Now I think you're right. They were paid off and told to stand down. Yes, I think they were. Um, we're gonna get to that, Samantha. Yes, she had head trauma. She did. And we're going to get to that one because of the next video, which is the thing that I had never heard before. And I think this probably explains it because I've thought for a long time, because of the head trauma, they saw that flashlight sitting there. They know that she got up, she ate pineapple. There was pineapple in her stomach. She had pineapple before she went to bed. It wasn't that long after she went to bed, and then Burke was there, and she was eating his pineapple, and you kind of think, was it just like I always wondered I always wondered, like, was it a brother sister thing? That big mag flashlight, they're heavier than you think, and they can do more damage than you think. Like, was it a brother sister fighting? I wondered, did he just get mad at her because she was eating his pineapple? Did he just hit her in the head and not realize being a kid? And did the parents just cover for him because, oh my God, now you'd lose 2 kids? Like, did they stage the whole thing? Like, you just have to wonder. Like, were they trying to protect Burke? I don't think if it happened that way that he meant to do that. Like, he was a kid. Like, he probably didn't know either. But yeah. Uh she did have 2 marks on her neck. There's a whole nother thing, but somebody, I was watching this also, somebody brings this point up. There were 2 marks on her neck, like one of those. Um, but he said there would also be, because she was so small and young and her skin was so tender, he said there would also have been a flash. There would have been like a burn mark from that. And I'm not sure. I'll have to research that. But he seemed like he knew what he was talking about. He said it couldn't have been from that. I didn't do a deep dive on that one, but I kind of thought that was interesting. Um, I know y'all are already talking about Garth Brooks. We're getting there. Let me play you one more video because I have never heard this about JonBenet. Like I said, I always kind of thought maybe it was Burke and maybe Patsy was trying to cover for him, and maybe they were both trying to cover for him. The most telltale, before I play that one, there's one more thing. The most telltale thing in the JonBenet case is, have you seen the interview with the woman who was the first one to respond? And I know she said she was untrained, she didn't know what she was doing, the police officer that was there, but she says, and she maintains, that when John Ramsey brought JonBenet's body up from the basement, when she looked him in the eye, she knew who had done away with JonBenet. She said she knew that she was looking in the eyes of an unaliver. So I don't know. She felt like he was guilty. So I've always wondered about that as well. Now, this thing I've never heard, and tell me what you think of this, because this honestly would explain everything.
Never heard the Diane Hallis story about JonBenet Ramsey. Diane Hallis worked at Access Graphics, John Ramsey's company, in the weeks immediately after JonBenet Ramsey's death. Part of her job was answering the floods of calls coming into the company. In January of 1997, Diane claimed that she received a phone call from a woman with explosive information. And this is important for timing. This is before the public knew about any SA findings. Those details were still not widely reported, and actually still aren't. According to Diane, the caller said that Patsy Ramsey told her attorneys that she had awoke in the middle of the night and found John in JonBenet Ramsey's room, and believed that JonBenet was being essayed. According to the caller, Patsy said that she picked up an object to strike him and missed and hit JonBenet instead. The caller claimed that the ransom note and the kidnapping had been created as a cover. Diane did not say that she witnessed this. She said she received a call. Diane says that she immediately reported the call to her supervisor, Lori Wagner. The call was transferred to Lori, who then spoke with the woman for approximately 45 minutes. After the call ended, Lori contacted Mike Beinman, the first attorney that John Ramsey called after JonBenet. Never heard the Diane Hallis story?
Okay, so what do you think about that? Now, in the comments, they're saying there's no evidence of this. Well, no, because they never let this out. They're saying in the comments that this was reported by Patsy's sister Pam. That I don't know if that Patsy reported this, or if Patsy ever said that this is what happened. I don't know, or if this the caller. But I mean, if you think about it, that actually does make the most sense of this whole thing. Because if Patsy heard, uh if she got up, if she heard or suspected, let's say she got up to go to the bathroom, whatever, she realized that John wasn't in the room, or anyway, for whatever reason, she goes and she realizes what's happening. She goes to check on JonBenet. If she sees John in there with JonBenet and she's being assaulted, as any mother would do, you would absolutely be furious. You would be beyond. So, what if she did take an object, try to hit John with it, and just in her fury, he moves out of the way, and then you accidentally hit JonBenet? Well, now you are complicit because you have now committed the act. How are you going to explain that you didn't do it? And he is this big businessman. It's your word against his. Like, to me, that would explain everything. Why Patsy always looked so, sometimes she seemed sincere and sometimes she seemed like she was, now I know she was on medication, but sometimes, you know, I don't know, she just always looked like she was trying to believe her own lies to me. And then sometimes she would look so sincere, and I'm like, how could you have been complicit in your daughter's unaliving? Um, but that does make sense. Like, what else? If you accidentally did that, what could you do? Especially if John was the source of income, the source of everything, and he had all the contacts with the police, with everybody, because you know he did. What if he said, we're going to do this to save you from prison? Do you want to die in prison with cancer? What would Patsy do? Would she write a note? Would she do anything that she was told to do to keep quiet? Because what are you going to do now? Now Burke's going to be without a mom. There's nothing she can do. JonBenet's gone, and she realizes what happened. She can't bring her back. I mean, honestly, that kind of makes sense to me. What do y'all think? Hey, Hiawatha, how are you? Um, let's see. What are y'all saying? Yeah. Yeah, if it was some kind of cover up, we wouldn't. And maybe Burke, if you've ever seen Burke, he's a strange one. Now, I mean, he might just be, that might be true, Hiawatha. Maybe Burke does know, and maybe that's why he does act so strange and he doesn't know what to say. Because what if he even just, I mean, he may not have seen it, but he may have heard them talking about it, and then what are you gonna do? You can't say my mom did it or my dad did it. Like, um uh I mean, yeah, he has. I see, I don't think he's a good actor myself, but that's just my opinion, Smoky Mountain. I have never bought John Ramsey's story. There's just, I don't know, there's something about him that it makes me very uneasy. But that's just me. I just, I don't know. I've never liked John Ramsey, whether he did it or not. I don't know, because for years I've thought it was an accident that Burke did it on accident, like just as kids do. And, but I still never liked John Ramsey. I still thought he was not a good person. But that's just my opinion. I could be totally wrong. I mean, what do I know? Um, it seems like Burke and Kelsey are in the same boat. Well, yes, John is still alive. And you know what I also think is weird is that John's John's other child passed away. It was a car accident or something like that. I'd like to know more about that story. Like, what happened? I think she was estranged. I think the whole thing with that is she did not have a good relationship with her dad, and they were kind of estranged. And my question is not that he was responsible for the wreck, but why? Why was there some kind of miss was there something inappropriate in their relationship? Did she suspect? Did she know? Or did she just suspect anything about John Bonet prior to that or whatever? You know, what was going on there? Um, yes, exactly. And maybe, and maybe uh he is 82. Yeah, he's old. He's old now. But people like that, they have secrets, they know stuff, and we don't know what kind of brotherhood he might be in as well. uh some secrets they keep forever. So I don't know, but I just thought it was interesting because if that is true, and if that Diane Hallis story is correct, if it's true and was just never told, because why would you let that story get out? Then that would change everything, wouldn't it? So I thought I'd bring that up. Now, let's go into the story that everybody wants to hear about Garth Brooks. This is, let's start at the beginning. Um, there's a lot of videos on this, and we're gonna go down the rabbit hole. And it's at first I just thought it was kind of interesting, yeah. But then, but then, when two and two starts adding up and equaling four, you're like, well, I don't know. Um, I'm not gonna hold that against you, Hoosier. Uh, not everybody that's in a society is bad, but I'm saying, like, it depends on what somebody has done and what kind of vows that you take. We know this from Delphi, right? All right.
What's that? Oh, a girl that was on her way to college stopped at a gas station and then was vanished. And the last person that she was seen with fits the description of Garth Brooks. Tell me more. Yeah, this girl is on her way to college, stops at the convenience store. Last person she's seen with is Garth Brooks. At least the description matches, okay? Now, from this point, on the route where Garth Brooks would be on tour, he had to hit one stop for his first tour, second stop, second tour, and then on the way to the third tour is where the body of this woman, this girl, is found on the side of the road, just discarded. There have been so many weird coincidences that involve Garth Brooks and his potential involvement in the disappearances of many different people. Oh, goody. What's that?
Okay. Now, this sounds like it's just coincidence, as did a lot when I first started jumping into this. Okay. So it's a coincidence. He's in a lot of cities, a lot of places. And of course, you think when you're in a big city, there's going to be a lot of crimes, a lot of missing people. Like, you can't blame old Garth for this stuff, right? Um, but then as you go down the rabbit hole, things just start to get more weird and more weird. And as you go back in time, it's not just now. Okay? It's not just now. So, but did you see, and you're going to see this a lot. What he says is that, okay, so whether this girl was seen with somebody, maybe this guy just looked like Garth Brooks. Maybe this girl wasn't with Garth Brooks. All right? Maybe that's just coincidence. He looks similar. But this girl was found in another place from where she disappeared. Like, you're going to see this a lot when you find these. First of all, let me tell you this: a lot of people go missing, they're not recovered in the place that they went missing. Garth Brooks is in one place, all right? He goes on tour in another city, sometimes a state or two away, wherever, further away. The person that was missing in this state or this area is found in another area where Garth Brooks is. This person that went missing wasn't planning to go there. It's not like they were making a trip there. They just went missing and are found somewhere really strange, far away, strangely enough, where Garth Brooks is at or was shortly after that. And it's like, okay, that's a little bizarre, but that doesn't prove anything. But let's go on. Let's keep going down the rabbit hole. And so let's get here.
There's a theory that Garth Brooks isn't just a country legend, but he's a serial killer secretly hiding in plain sight. This all started when comedian Tom Segura started pointing out something strange. A disturbing amount of people have gone missing in cities where Garth Brooks was touring. Like, way too many for it to be a coincidence. We are talking decades of overlapping timelines. Missing person cases tied to his tour stops from the early 90s all the way into the 2010s. Obviously, none of this is proven. It's a conspiracy theory, but it's weird. Now, here's the part that really creeps me out. Garth Brooks has this created alter ego named Chris Gaines, and it's his character, and it looks totally different from him. He has dark hair, soul patch, rock star energy. Garth explained it to everyone, saying that this was for a movie role that never ended up happening, which is very common. But conspiracy theorists think that this was something else entirely. They say that Chris Gaines was his mask, a way to express his darker impulses through music. Some even believe that he used this persona to explore his so-called killer identity without getting caught. And I totally understand how this sounds very far-fetched, but watch this interview. It's from 1989, and they ask him if he would ever act in a movie, and Garth says that he did not want to be the hero. Instead, he says that he would rather kill somebody and that it would be fun. And you know, that's very valid. Villains are really fun to play, but just watch the video.
You're quiet, laid back. That's the first impression we get of Garth Brooks, right?
If somebody called you up and said, hey, we've got this charity thing going on, would you write a bull?
I'd rather kill somebody. That'd be fun. If you run with your eyes shut, you're going to run into something. Dreamers don't last long in this town.
Now, years later, after all of this, Garth is still involved in this ongoing legal case with a woman.
Okay, I'm going to stop this for just a second here because you can see this is my area of concern. All right, this is where I jumped on the okay, what if train, because everything else can be, tighten this, everything else can be circumstantial, right? But I'm looking at this article on October 4th of 2024, and it says that he is accused of the grapes and the essay in a lawsuit. Now, she goes on to say that this lawsuit has been dragging on for a long time. I guess it started, I think it says it started in, I don't know, it started years ago. So if you are fighting this lawsuit, like, first of all, if it was nothing, it would have went away, right? By now. But he's been fighting this lawsuit for a long time. So how are you involved in a lawsuit that has some validity in this? So this shows me that if there's any truth at all to this, then you are capable. Now, if you're capable of this, then what else are you capable of, Garth? I'm starting to get a little bit worried at this point because I'm like, okay, you know, it was all a fun little theory. Yeah, he's an SK. Yeah, he's a country music star. You know, this is crazy conspiracy theory. Till I saw this, I'm like, oh, wait a second. You know, even the interview is not a big thing. You know, that's like whatever. He was just having fun. But now this shows some possible intent. You got some skeletons in the closet. But then it gets even more weird. All right? So let's finish this one.
who accused him of doing terrible things to her. The case is still open, and it was life-threatening towards her. Some people believe that these deaths were occurring because they were part of a ritual, a way to stay famous, to stay powerful, to stay untouchable. And we hear about that a lot with the Hollywood elite, you know, the conspiracy theories around it. I'm not saying any of it's true. This is just for entertainment purposes. It's fun to talk about. But people can't help but notice, as long as people keep disappearing in the town he's playing when he's playing there, Garth keeps selling out stadiums.
Look at all these places that he's played and stuff. That's
know what
you
believe and follow for more. There's a theory.
Okay. I'm gonna read some of these comments. Yeah, they're saying, well, a lot of this is just, you know, craziness, but yes, what you said, let's see, this is back up here. I think who said this, that Tom, well, I'll find it in a minute. Yeah, okay. He has a string of missing and unalive people when he's in the area. Okay. Now, Buckeye, I did not know this. What raised my eyebrows was Garth opened his bar in Nashville March 7th, 2024. Riley Strain went missing in Nashville March 8th. I actually didn't realize that. Riley, but he was at that his bar was not the last bar that Riley was at. It was Luke Bryan's. I don't know if he went to Garth's bar. I can't remember, you know, back in the days when we were out there looking for Riley. Although I think that has a whole different, but I didn't realize that. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, Tom Segura basically started this conspiracy theory. And it started as, you know, a comedian joke, but then we're going to get into some other stuff. And I've actually read a lot of this, and I'm like, okay, this started since Garth was in school. And yeah, when you go back, this actually started before Garth was famous. This started, I was reading where it started. He was working at a boot place, and uh, the maybe somebody will put it in the comments, or I may have saved that video where 3 people in the area came up missing and unalived, unsolved. And here's the thing: we'll get into the numbers of unsolved unalivings. Interesting. Someone came up missing from Brooks Bar the night he was there. Oh, really? Really? See, there it was so crazy. The number of people that go missing in Nashville is insane. Riley just happened to be somebody that people latched onto and made a big deal about. I mean, it was really kind of phenomenal because the number of people that actually go missing in Nashville is quite large. And you can see it happens all the time. All the time. And you can, if you just look at the newspaper, it's like, why was Riley Strain so, why was that such a big deal? I mean, yes, college student, the whole thing, but why was that such a big deal when there are other people that go missing there all the time? And the people that they pull out of the river all the time. Like, people are being pulled out of the Cumberland River right and left. It's insane. See, there's another fact. His road staff said that he would go missing. Look, Who's your you? You, I need to give you the microphone. I'm not that, like, for reals. Yes, his road staff said that he would go missing at the oddest times. Um, yes, you're right, Samantha. There was an album released under Chris Gaines, and you saw the picture. It is kind of really freaky. Um, his wife's stylist became Brooks' stylist, and she accused him for the SH. Okay, Smoky Mountain Robin says, if Garth turns out to really be a SK, I will disconnect my internet, burn my CDs and DVDs, and move off the grid. Because I don't want any part of this society. Makes As in the Days of Noah too close. I know, I get it. I get it. I'm not a country music person, but I want to tell you something. Nothing surprises me. Nothing. There is not. I've seen too much Smoky Mountain Robin. I've seen too much. I trust no one. I believe that anybody is capable of anything. I shouldn't laugh. I shouldn't laugh at this. I got friends in crawl spaces. Why am I laughing? Oh my God, I'm sick. Oh Lord. Yeah. I want to see a chart with the towns he was in, dates and names. I know. Look, I need to get on. I need my AI that pulls the best information. My AI is out of commission. It's doing something. I don't like it. It's doing some kind of thing that I'm sure I'm not going to agree with, and it's not back online until the 25th. But I need to. And it might argue with me because it doesn't like it when I start asking conspiracy questions. We argue a lot. Um, uh, I don't think Riley went to Garth's bar. Yeah, but the timing is weird. Um, let's see. Hey, Winter Woman, good to see you. Oh, that's okay. Just whenever you can or on the replay. Um, uh, are they investigating? No, of course not. He's got too much money and clout. They just found another missing young man there a few days ago. What? See, I told you. I told you. It's insane. I broke my AI. I probably did. I probably did. All the arguing we've been doing. Your AI sounds like an ex-husband. I want some alimony. I've been paying my AI. Okay, but let's go on because there's a lot of interesting stuff that we haven't even scratched the surface yet. Okay, so look, this guy has this next guy has really, he's got a ton of videos. I couldn't play them all here, but let's go. I'll play with.
And we hired 2 researchers to look up. We broke up the list for, first of all, just to try and find all of his tour dates. There's over 1,000 of them. Mm-hmm. Not to mention Grammys, Billboard Awards, everything, all the places he's lived. You know, he moved here, then he moved here, then he moved here. I mean, from where when he grew up in is it Oklahoma? Yeah, in Oklahoma, like every place. So we're searching it, and we only did what we could find online, right? Like we're not flying people out to Oklahoma and going through records. We're doing what we can.
Yep.
And very quickly, we came up with about 120 missing persons and around roughly 90 unsolved homicides that
coincided with locations and times of his tours.
With dates. Locations and times And I am telling you, the man is a monster.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm trying to save lives here, Danny. I'm trying to save lives.
So this book is like a satirical true crime book?
I'm doing God's work.
Right.
This is God's work, Danny.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously, there's a little bit of confirmation bias in here.
Have any of those crimes been solved with other evidence of other people? Like,
No, not
have
that.
been,
These are like
they've
just,
been linked to any other murderers, or is this all a joke?
No, there's. I literally, like, I'll give you an example. Okay, I'll give you an example.
Okay. Understand that he is, he says, I'm being a little satirical here, but like for 100% for real, this guy has written a book and he's telling you this information, and he's like, yes, I'm kind of being a little bit, but for real, like, I'm not kidding. That's his whole thing. I'm not kidding. These dates, these missing people, this all lines up with Garth Brooks. And if you're talking about 120 people that went missing, only and 90 of them are unsolved. So of 120 people, 30 of them, were solved by, okay, we know who this is, was ex-husband, wife, whatever, the run of the mill, whatever. 90 of them, of this 120 that he's talking about, that he's himself researched, have not been solved. And they all have these same earmarks. So that's odd. That's a lot of people. That's not even 50%. Like, that's a fraction of the whole shebang, right? That's interesting. People in the comments here are saying, if that's true, he would be the most prolific SK of our time. Well, yeah, he certainly would. Let's see. I believe when he was in Indy, somebody came up missing. And you can see there, he's done some interviews and stuff where he has, and even sung some songs where he has this kind of weird look. Does he do it on purpose to feed, the fire? Maybe. Maybe he's just having fun. You don't know. But let's look at some more. Now, this guy, like I said, he has, this channel is Alex. Let me see. And I don't know. I think he's just being interviewed on this one, but there's quite a lot of videos on here. Alexa FMO4B3. I don't know. I don't know who. But there's some more. This guy is a lot of places.
He's going to leave the area. He's leaving the area. He's traveling to see a friend. He goes to a gas station, which they know he went to, I believe, because
okay,
of
this is one of those stories. Let me just give you a background. This is one of those stories of a guy that comes up missing and is found somewhere else. Okay.
I think there was a receipt. He fills up gas, and that gas station is fairly close to the Springs training stadium. At that point, he disappears. He never makes it to his friend. So one of his other buddies ends up calling the police and saying, "Hey, he's missing. He never showed up here. He was going to call me when he got there. Didn't call. Okay." They look into it. They can't find him. He's gone. And they just say, he disappeared. He fueled up here, and we can't find him. We can't find his vehicle. We can't find anything. Now, this is within blocks of the stadium, of where Garth is. Now, here's what makes it interesting. Once again, okay, coincidence.
Yeah, it's Phoenix. There's a lot of crime there.
Sure, it was carjacking, maybe.
Right.
Here's the thing, that Garth flew his private jet into the international airport, and 2 months later, roughly a few weeks later, his body,
the victim's car is found in the parking garage.
Correct. The victim's vehicle is found in the parking garage. His body is in the trunk. It's within a stone's throw of Garth Brooks's private plane, which is parked there.
Yeah.
So I just find that
right.
Unlikely.
There are no coincidences.
There's not this many. If you start adding it up, it's outrageous.
Yeah, that's crazy. Now, clearly, I mean, that is a crime of opportunity. We're not yet. This is when he's still on the road.
Right.
And that's why they're finding the bodies. He doesn't a lot of times have time to ship them back and bury them properly on his property.
Right. Who knows why that body didn't end up in the plane? We don't know that.
Right.
You know?
But he's got to be getting his DNA. He's got to be shedding. These are if he's taking a man, even if the man is 60 years old, he's getting hair follicles on him. He's getting skin cells on him.
When has Garth Brooks' DNA ever been taken?
That's what I mean.
You know?
Like,
are they? You know, are first of all, there's so many people that are just never found. He's going to leave.
Okay, some people, and some of you have said it in the comments, and then some on this video. But on this one, someone says, "I'm not a Garth Brooks fan, but are we also considering that he travels with a team, and most of the team has been with him throughout his career? Could he have an interloper within his group?" You know, good question. And one of y'all said, something. Oh, Dewey said someone might be following him around. Somebody might be following him around. Somebody might be on his team. Maybe is somebody trying to but now here's the thing. The only thing that kind of squashes that is prior to him having a team, like this kind of thing did follow him around. Like I said, you're going to hear from a woman that has more information on him prior to him becoming famous. So this was happening around Garth Brooks before he became famous. So now, is it somebody that has like maybe knew him back when and does still follow him and do this kind of stuff? Maybe, but that's a lot of years to be doing this. Okay. I wonder how Trisha feels about all the speculation. I don't know. I wonder how she feels about the whole court case with the SA. Like, I don't know. Buckeye says a traveling musician would be a great cover for an SK, like the long haul truck drivers. And I did not know this. Frank, let me see if I say this right. Figliuzzi wrote a book about that. I mean, it would be a great cover, no doubt. Look at the David. Is that Dave 4? Is that Dave? Dave. Wait, I can't see this. I gotta put my glasses on, y'all. Is that supposed to be Dave 4D? Dave, I don't know. Case. He's worth over $4 million, aka the Tesla trunk case. You know, I have heard about that only briefly. I never have studied it. No, I don't think anybody really ID'd him. They said it looked like Garth Brooks. Let's see. I just had the thought, after all the weird Hollywood performances and conspiracy theories, why am I questioning if it's possible? Exactly. Okay. But let's go on. Now, here's the woman that has some of these other stories, okay?
This is wild. Some people online may think Garth Brooks is a serial killer, and I have gone down the rabbit hole because some of the stuff is definitely bizarre. I'm not gonna lie. Now, does this absolutely mean I think he's a serial killer? No, but I think it's interesting and fun to talk about. This is one of the craziest conspiracy theories, so let's go ahead and spill it, okay? This is Alleged Anonymous, I know nothing. So people are saying and suspecting that Garth Brooks is a serial killer because this all started from the comedian Tom Segura started pointing out something super strange where people would go missing from wherever Garth Brooks has done a tour or done a concert. And there's so many unsolved murders, people who end up dead over by where Garth Brooks is. Like, it's mind-blowing. Somebody actually collected a huge list of names and put it together with a map to show exactly what's going on, and oh my goodness, it like lines up perfectly, and it's weird. It was Tom Segura who came up with a list of names and hired researchers to research all the missing people on the map. And I know some people are like, no, it's probably just recent, maybe there's a serial killer, maybe. But listen, this goes on for decades. I'm talking about tour stops in the 90s. Now, here's one example that really kind of like slapped my chaps a little bit, because when Garth Brooks went to college, it was at University of Oklahoma, whatever it is, whatever the college is over there. And there's a woman there that went to the same college as he did, and she ended up being murdered there. Her apartment was only a few miles away from Garth Brooks' apartment. She attended the same college as him. That's really weird that it was even connected and that she was murdered at the same college. Okay, and if you're like, ugh, that's nothing, well, then we moved to Nashville. He moved to Nashville and he starts working at the Boot Barn. Now, during his time at working in the Boot Barn, three people go missing in the same area or vicinity of where the Boot Barn is. That is now 4 people murdered over by Garth Brooks. Now that like blows my mind. Now he's still working at the Boot Barn. That's where he gets signed to his label, and they put him on tour to like go around all the state fairs and sing and stuff.
If I never wake up in the morning.
Well, as he's on tour, there's like a missing person here, unsolved case here, someone's murdered over here, all in the states where he was at. Make it make sense. And then he goes on to get really big and he starts, selling out in stadiums. Well, girls are going missing in each city over by the stadiums. You cannot tell me that this isn't, it is alleged and anonymous, I know nothing, but you cannot tell me that this isn't fishy. It's fishy. If you guys want a part 2, let me know. I didn't even mention Chris Gaines yet. Bye.
Okay. Now, her name, and I didn't watch any more of her videos, it's called Spill the Tea Chels Bing. Chels. Chels Bing. So, you might want to go follow her and see what all she has to say about that. But yeah, he has he does. He makes some kind of weird faces sometimes. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. So do I. Let me go back to this. Who's your daddy? Says Silky. Yes, possible ID at the truck stop. Okay, you know what? If they could positively ID him, like that would be it, right? That would be it. You should definitely look into those long haul truck drivers. You will never feel safe on a freeway again. Look, I already suspect, and here's the thing. I knew somebody who did long haul trucking. Actually, I've known a couple of people quite well who did long haul trucking, and I suspect that at least one of them probably did some stuff. I can't prove it. I wish I could. I really suspect that one of them may have done a lot of stuff, even not on the road. But it was, it's hard. It was hard back in those days. Like now, there's so many trackers. There's the internet. There's so many different ways to track people's movements. And had I had the ability to have these things back in those days, I would have been able to know for sure. But unfortunately, I don't have access anymore. Okay. Um, let's see. If I ever start a YouTube channel, I'm gonna name it "Make Conspiracy Theories Fun Again." Kind of think this is a fun one, but see, did you ever? But do you see what I'm saying? Is that this went back a long time? So has it? Has it? It didn't just start with fame. Because when I thought it started with, again, you're in a lot of cities, stuff is going to happen. Stuff happens in every city all the time, especially when you have a big act, or somebody come in. Things that is a place where people are going to know there's going to be a crowd, there's going to be young girls, you're going to be looking to wreak havoc, pull shenanigans, crimes. Um, so that wouldn't be in of itself. Although, why doesn't this happen to other people? Does it happen to all of the artists, or is it just Garth Brooks? That is something to wonder, to ponder upon. Anyway, and then we've got a couple. We've got two more. Two more.
She gets half. But the one big thing is he keeps the 300 acres.
That's right.
He then moves to
the property outside of Tulsa.
Awassa.
Awassa.
It's just outside. It's a little town outside of Tulsa. And he moves there so that he can still raise his children, if that makes sense. And he actually then retires from country music. He steps back and says, I'm retiring.
Right.
Now, he's a mega country star at this point. He steps back, he retires, he says he's got to focus on raising his kids. He wants to be there. I think he's got 2 girls. He raises the 2 girls. But while he is in Awassa, the missing persons and unsolved homicides shoots up to the roof.
A lot of bodies start popping up or missing, gone missing. So
I personally always wonder, like, that divorce. Like, what does she have? Why suddenly does she want to divorce this guy?
Right.
And
I mean, look, you could say infidelity, right? But this guy had no problem handing over half of everything. Shut up.
Yeah, very quickly. And not just that, like, I mean, who knows? She comes home from a shopping spree, walks in, he's dressed in a skin suit. I mean, who knows what she found or what he was doing that caused her to suddenly say, yeah, I'm done, we're getting a divorce. She gets half. But the one big thing is he keeps the...
I mean, I'm sure that infidelity is a thing on the road with these people. Like, I can't imagine that there's many people in this situation that don't have to deal with this. I think it pretty much goes with the territory, especially when you get that mega famous and whatever, you have people throwing themselves at you. And I think you probably have a mentality of you are like a demigod, like you can do whatever. And perhaps that is the same reason that you think that you can get away with anything. And maybe you do. Maybe that's why you think you could get away with literal unaliving someone. Could you? Probably. You know enough people. Could you? Have the money to grease enough palms? Stop the questions from being asked. Possibly. But, talking about in this divorce, really, there's another video. I don't know if that's the one that we're going to watch, but it talks about, let's see, it talks about his ranch. Okay. No, it talks about the first thing that he buys. There's a couple of things that I'm going to tell you. A couple of videos that I watched. One of the things about Garth is when he got his first big bunch of money. I think it was like close to $500,000. And you think that, I mean, he just had signed and he started getting a really big name. So he gets this big, massive check for $500,000, which I'm thinking based on what they said, how famous he was, I'm thinking you would get more than that. But I guess it's true. The record companies really are the ones that are rich, and you are really not. I mean, you're at their mercy. So anyway, he gets close to $500,000. He's not buying a property, he's not buying a penthouse in Nashville. He's not buying, a fancy car, one of these expensive, the things that you would normally think somebody would spend their money on. No, he buys a 300-acre property, like farmland. He buys 300 acres in Tennessee. Now, it's not that far from Nashville, but like, who needs 300 acres of property? You would think if he was buying it and it's just farmland, all right? It's just farmland. It's not developed. It's not near something to be developed. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to build another Dollywood? You're going to call it Garthland? I mean, like, what is it? What do you need with 300 acres? But this is what he buys, and this is where he decides he's going to, have this property. That's a lot of property. Like, if you're going to buy it for an investment to make money, why wouldn't you buy properties that already have something on them, that already are turning a profit or have the potential to turn a profit? That is investment property. Farmland in Tennessee back in those days, I mean, yeah, it's an investment, but it ain't that great of an investment. What do you need with 300 acres, Garth? It's kind of a strange thing for somebody who's starting out in the business to buy, but whatever. And then there's another story. Maybe I'll save that one to the end. Let's go back to, let's do this very last one.
So I asked Richard, I said, is it uncommon to be, if you guys were asked to move one of these trunks, would you move it? Would you check it out? Would you look in it? He was like, absolutely not. He said, we'd pick it up and put it in under the bus or on the semi or whatever we were asked to do. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, we're not friends with these guys. Like, they tell us to do stuff. They're essentially glorified laborers. And I said, is it uncommon for Garth? Now, he's been on multiple tours with Garth. I said, would it be uncommon for Garth to request you to move something? And he said, no, it wouldn't be uncommon at all.
Yeah.
So
Garth personally would ask them to move stuff.
Right. So if this girl was grabbed, either strangled or grabbed with chloroform, knocked out, placed in a trunk, he could have had her alive for days.
Right. She might have even been on the tour bus alive.
So I asked Richard, I said, is it...
Okay. So, I mean, as you see, this is normal for him. I thought that was kind of interesting that he himself asked for things. And that nobody asks if there's trunks to be moved, whatever. He might ask you personally to move them. Nobody bothers to look in them. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't look either, but I just thought it was interesting. I'm going to go back. I'm going to tell you a story that I read. Let's see. Somebody asked a question. Let me go back a little bit. Yeah, Winter Woman. It does kind of sounds like Ted Bundy coincidences in a way. Yeah, it's like, what was the one woman said? There are no coincidences in true crime, right? Why hasn't Garth sued Tom? Maybe because he doesn't. I don't know. Maybe because Tom is just going to say, well, hey, I'm a stand-up comedian. I harass everybody, which is probably true. And then you would have to prove that you aren't what he said. Like, it probably would just open up a whole can of worms. I've heard now that people are going to his concerts and holding up signs saying, Garth, where are the bodies? And when he says something online, puts out a video or whatever, there's all kind of comments online. Garth, where are the bodies? Everybody's saying, where are the bodies, Garth? I don't know. Buckeye, but I'm just telling you that would make me ask for a divorce. I'm just saying. Uh let's see. Um okay, there you are, Joey. Good to see you. Um yeah. Okay, so I just said that. I didn't know that you said that in chat. Yeah, his first fortune was spent on his land. He needed a lot, not not land, a lot of land, like Fox Hollow. Exactly. That's kind of what people are thinking now. They're like, he bought all that land, kind of like Fox Hollow, right? Um, yeah, everybody did think that was. Maybe he's going to open a cemetery and call it Low Places. You never know. Okay, Joey, why do they think that he is a SK? Because of all the people that go missing and are during his concert, wherever he's at. Like, that's where you'll have to go back on the replay and see, like, this is a big thing. I thought it was like just a silly conspiracy theory till you start adding up all of the pieces of this puzzle, and it's like, oh my, oh my. I just thought it was silly. And then I was like, you know what? This is very odd. Has he been a suspect? Well, only because people have gone missing when, well, actually, this has followed him throughout his life, apparently. Wherever he's at, people go missing, even before he was famous. And then also, he people go missing very close to where he's, like, to the concert, just within a few blocks, and then they may turn up where his next concert is. May it be a state or two away, whatever. Their bodies are found at another concert place when they weren't ever planning to go there. Like, they get abducted or whatever. They go missing in one concert place and show up a couple states away. This has been happening over and over, and they're like, okay. Funny how it's always where Garth is touring at. Um, uh, it is. Does he still have it though? I don't know if he still has it because now he bought that property in Owassa. I don't know. Um, Now, also, this was a thing that I thought was interesting, talking about his character. You know, he has this alter ego, Chris Gaines, who did put out, as Samantha said, did put out an album. That album is very creepy. It does not look like Garth Brooks. He's wearing some kind of wig. His songs are not country. They're very weird, odd. The lyrics are dark, and it's extremely disturbing. Chris Gaines is his alter ego. Now, there is a video that I watched where it talks about him and this other lady who's, I guess, some kind of producer, whatever. They're going to pitch a movie. I don't know what the name of the movie was supposed to be. They're going to pitch a movie about a character named Chris Gaines, which Garth was going to play his alter ego, Chris Gaines. And they're pitching it to the producers. So they go into this meeting, and it's about the relationship between Chris Gaines and his dad. The whole movie is about. And so while they're in there, the producers, or the people they're pitching it to, are asking Garth, like, so what makes you interested in being an actor, like doing this movie? Why this project? What is this, to you? And so Garth starts tearing up, and he starts saying, man, like, I feel so much that like this could be me, and this like personifies the relationship that I had with my father and how I felt when my father passed away and all these emotions and all this stuff. And this woman is just looking at him like, what the heck? And he's just going on and on about this is like basically his relationship with his father and how things were unresolved and all the feelings he had when his father died. And so they walk out of the room, and this woman is flabbergasted because she knows Garth and she knows that his dad is still alive. And so they leave the room and she's like, what was that all about? Your dad. That's not about you and your dad. Like, your dad is still alive. And he's like, yeah, but it made the pitch so much better, right? Made for a really good pitch. And I mean, she's like, and like, she doesn't know what to say because he had been in there, like, really crying, putting on the act. Okay. So that was a whole person. That was a whole Garth in there playing this thing, telling these people a complete load of crap, saying this was his relationship with his dad. All of it a lie. These people believe in him. She would have believed him, except she knew different, and she's just looking at him like, who is this man? That is a little bit disturbing to me. Now, if he had gone in and said, look, I'm going to pitch this way, but no, he goes in there like, this is the truth. So to me, oh my gosh, what's going on? I'm melting. I am melting here in the heat, in the Alabama heat. I wondered what's going on with I could feel something going on my eyeballs. Y'all tell me next time this happens. It's so hot. But anyway, yeah, so what are y'all saying? Let's see. This reminds me of the movie Mr. Brooks. Has anybody seen it? It happens to be the most on point SK movie ever made. I have not seen it. I've seen it advertised, but I have never actually watched it thus far. I really don't watch a whole lot of TV, but I've seen it. I've thought about watching it. I heard that meeting was strange also. Well, it's true. Actors get paid to lie. I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm just gonna put that out there. I do not disagree. I do not disagree at all. Okay. So, here we go. At the end of the day, we have a lot of what the one guy said. Oh, by the way, that man, the last one that and there's a lot to this interview that he did and a lot to his research. The podcast was called, let me look. It's called the Murder Men Podcast. So look that up, the Murder Men Podcast, and you can probably find it on TikTok as well. Look, at the end of the day, what we find is we find an extraordinary amount of coincidences, which I do have a problem with. I mean, what is a coincidence? I have a problem with coincidences because I don't really believe in them. But you have so many people that are missing that have not. So many missing people hasn't been solved. Okay, the other ones like he said, 120 of the cases that he researched, 90 of that 120 have not been solved. They're still open. Only 30 of them have been linked to anybody else. The rest of them, they have no idea. Have no idea where these people went, what happened. All having to do with Garth Brooks and the cities that he has been doing concerts in. So, and it's not even the next city. So like let's just make up some cities like or let's say he's somebody goes missing in Alabama. And then his next stop is in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Let's say he's in Birmingham, Alabama, then Chattanooga, Tennessee. And then say his next one is in Dallas, Texas. The person goes missing in Alabama and, is found a week later when he is in Dallas, Texas. Well, that person in Alabama never intended to go to Dallas, so how in the heck did they end up a block from the concert hall in Dallas, Texas, where strangely enough Garth Brooks was, and strangely enough they were, 6 blocks from the concert hall in Alabama where Garth Brooks was. You see what I'm saying? The coincidence is just astronomical. It's like, could this really be a coincidence? I don't think so. Yeah, that's what people are saying anyway. Because how does this keep happening with Garth Brooks? It obviously and no. Get down. Ugh. Hold on. Am I still live? Sachi is trying to cut off my live stream. Wish she's something else tonight. Yeah, but obviously, it's more than just a coincidence. Now, could it be somebody on his team? Yes. But what about the ones? Okay, it would be so easy to say, yeah, somebody on his team or that knows somebody is following him around, pinning this on him. But what about all the strangeness that happened when he was younger before he was famous? It's a conspiracy theory, and this is why it came up. But now people who are really digging into this are saying, like, well, I don't know. Is Garth guilty? What do we know? Let's see. An old movie called Phantom of the Paradise had a singer with a weird alter ego. See, there you go. It's so good, Silky. You'll love it. It shows the type of SK we have and how he works. I will have to watch that. It looks very intriguing. Okay, I froze for a second. Yeah, that was Sachi. Yeah, she was co-piloting, but I think she was saying, you know what, Mom, it's time to stop. Like, you've been talking long enough. It's time for me to eat. Let's see. He could be one of some serial killers. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Have very IQ, and they are either very good people or very bad people. They are never both. True. And you have to say, and again, yes, his road crew said that he would be gone at the oddest times. See, this is something else. And you have to also consider this. Just one last thought before we go. You have to consider this also. The psychology of somebody who has everything, right? I'm going to take you back to an old Twilight Zone movie or episode, all right? Think back. If you've ever seen the old Twilight Zones, the black and white ones, they're phenomenal, really groundbreaking for their time. And there was an episode where this guy, he's a what you would call back in those days a ne'er-do-well. All right, but he was into gambling, he was into women, he was into all kind of stuff, the slots, I don't know, whatever you could do. That's what he was into. And so, I don't know what happens in the beginning, but he passes away. So in the very beginning, you see this man in white, and he takes this guy. He's now dead. He takes him to eternity. So he shows him to this place, and the guy is expecting the worst because he knows he's lived a horrible life. And, he goes in the room and like he goes to the slots and, the blackjack table, whatever. And this guy is winning. He is winning every game. And then, like, these beautiful women are there. Like, he's rich. He's got women. They are just fawning all over him. He's got whatever he wants. It's like a dream come true. Things that he never had on the earth. He was always struggling, always, hustling. Now he's got it all. He's like, Mr. Big Stuff here. He's got it all. So the series rocks on, this episode rocks on, and he's like, everything's great there for a little while. And then it starts to get monotonous. And he's like, every time I play, I win. Every beautiful girl I see wants me. This is not so cool anymore. I have everything I want. Now it's not just monotonous, then it gets to be irritating. And then it gets to be where he can't stand it and he's pushing the women off and he's just mad because he wins every single time. He can't lose. I can't lose. And he's so frustrated and he's miserable because he has everything he can possibly want. There is nothing to want. There's nothing to want anymore. There's no pleasure in not having and then having because he's got everything. He can buy anything, do anything, and he's miserable. And so he goes back to the guy in white. He's like, take me out of here. Like, this is horrible. Like, you said this was heaven and whatever. He's like, but I'm miserable. I'm more miserable here than I was struggling before I died. Like, get me out of here. And the guy in white is like, oh, there is a misunderstanding, sir. This isn't heaven. You're in hell. Twilight Zone. Excellent. So what if, using that psychology, because you can see the deterioration in this episode, you can see the psyche of the man who has everything. So what if, just playing devil's advocate, what if it's the same? So you have a man, now obviously this problem started young, but what if you, or potentially, if it's true, allegedly, I don't know. But what if you have a man who has everything? You've got more money than you could possibly spend in 3 lifetimes. You've got fame. You're adored. You're talented. You can have anything you want. Do anything you want. What if what you want is to indulge in the dark side of yourself? I mean, what's left, really? What if you find no more pleasure in the things, just like the guy in the Twilight Zone? What if there's no more pleasure in that and you have to go darker? I mean, it's just a thought. But I think maybe that's what we see in Hollywood, in Hollyweird, right? So much stuff that we see these days, and the bigger somebody gets, the more fame, the more money, the more depraved information comes out about them. Why? Because there is no happiness. There's no happy ending in having it all. And people like me are like, well, I'd love to try. I'd love to know what it would be like not to struggle. But in the end, do we really? Do we really want to know? Or can we take the example of the people that we see and we're like, can I learn something? Like, look, hey, they have everything. And it didn't work for them. Because obviously, the more you have, the less happy that you are about it. And the more you don't have pleasure until you go darker. You have to go deeper and darker to find any feeling at all. It appears that is the only road that you have to have the feels. That's scary. Or at least that's the way I see it. What do y'all think? Let me see what y'all are saying. Yes, money gives them freedom, the power to do what they want. The two sides of Norman Bates? Absolutely. Yeah, because, in the beginning, Norman was just the nicest guy. Warnos was also made into that. Um, Fame can tear you down. Oh, yeah. I believe that. Um, SKs get bored very easy. And playing the Catch Me If You Can game is a game they love to play with cops, yes. You lose your humanity and emotions and become a 24/7 prisoner to money. Yeah, sometimes I think, it must be nice to have some. um, yeah, I know. That's the way I feel. Like I could think of some really good things to do with it, but after a while, would we be in that same situation? Um, I have to think we probably would if we had it all. Unless your heart is just really um geared toward giving it away and doing really, really doing good things with it. I think that you can only fill your own cup so much and then you just want to puke. And I think that's what happens to people. Um, yes, the secret is to follow your passion and not money and fame. Yeah, exactly. Um, Depends on how they are centered. Barry Gibb comes to mind. Good wife for 50 plus years. Yeah, some people do it right. Um, Very few though, really, very few. Yeah, they almost always get caught because of their ego and they think nobody can catch me. True, true. And that's, you have to wonder. Yeah, that's the only thing that makes me wonder. And at the end of the day, when I started looking at this, I started thinking, if it wasn't for the coincidences before he got famous, and I would tend to say it's his road crew, right? It's his somebody in his entourage that has that's that knows something or is involved in something. But if you follow it back and then and then you're like, okay, so he buys a farm in Tennessee and then he goes to Oklahoma and he's bought this other property, and now there's all these missing people like these missing people in the area, like in the Broad area. There's missing people there now. Now he's not going to do it right where his farm is. Like, you're going to go out. If you are an SK, you're going to go out from your area. Now there's missing people, a lot more missing people than there were before. And that is like, it's just sus. It is. Now, is it him? I don't know. But is it sus? You can't say it's not sus. It is. So some people are like, I don't know. But I think it's interesting on this recent one. If they ever get a positive ID, he's cooked. Uh let's see. Let's see. Who's your daddy? I've had a certain amount of fame and fortune and found that's not what made me happy. Yeah, I've seen it in a lot of people. I've been around people who have, you know, been around musical people, let's put it that way, my whole life. And I've definitely seen that does not bring happiness. Um, Actually, it usually causes more problems. um, you would be floored if you knew how many people go missing and nobody knows because the cops keep it under the table. I would be interested to know that. By the way, Joey, I'm also looking for information because I'm about ready to wrap this one up. I'm looking for information. Anything if you are from Indiana or the surrounding area, anything that you know firsthand about the floods, the stuff that's going on, the blackout of the media in Indiana, um, due to the flooding, any pictures, any firsthand accounts. If you have a firsthand account, I would love for you to email me at silkyandSouthern@gmail.com. I'm going to read those out tomorrow. I'm going to find some more TikTok videos, and I really want to address this. Want to bring this to the attention of people because it's just like North Carolina. There is a media blackout, and people don't know. Like, people don't know the horrific stuff that is going on in Indiana, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow night. I've got a lot of other things to talk about, some interesting true crime stuff, but I really want us to and if you find any interesting, really interesting stuff on Garth Brooks, and you want to keep talking about Garth, wait till my AI comes up so I can. It's just faster. My AI is, or he was, pretty amazing. We'll see after his, I don't know, glow up. That's what they say. He's getting a glow up. If he's as smart on his glow up as he was before, we'll see. Um, yeah, local news reports would be good too. Local news reports haven't been covering the tornado activity. I didn't know much about. Well, if it's been in the last few days, I haven't had internet, so I don't. And that's how I get all of my stuff is from internet because I don't have cable. That's crazy. Um, I don't. Okay. All right. I am so glad that y'all hung out with me tonight. Some of you really hung in there. I hope you have a great and wonderful rest of the evening. Hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow night. Again, send me anything that you've got on the blackout. Let's talk about it. Any other information that you know that you think I need to know that we need to talk about, send that to me. I will see you tomorrow. Stay safe out there, whatever you do. Just stay silky. Bye bye.